Hey guys, welcome back to another OSCE this week. We've got this is week 8. Can you believe it? What I'm going to do is because obviously things are changing since yesterday's announcement, we can see a bit of a plan for a phased return to work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this for another 2 weeks. So we're going to do week 9 and week 10, and then week 10 will be the last week. So then we'll have nearly 30 videos that will be available to you online, and probably by the time we get to the end, by the end of week 10, you'll have forgotten the first one, so you'll be able to watch them again and won't have remembered what the problem was with that individual. So I'm going to do this for the next couple of weeks. And then we'll just see how things go. But it looks as though I might have to do a bit of planning and kind of policy writing and things like that, just to make sure we've got procedures in place for reopening. So what we'll do though with that kind of thing is we'll anything that we come up with in the clinic, or anything that we see online with from other organisations, then we will post about how we're dealing with the opening procedures. Okay, but the thing that I am carrying on, I'm going to carry on with Dan on a Monday evening at 8 o'clock. So that will be continuing. So we've got another 3 sessions of this left, and that will take us through till probably about mid-June, I think it will be. And then but we'll be continuing the Monday evening. So just wanted to give you a heads up that if anybody you think would benefit from this kind of stuff, and they've not attended, or they've talked about doing it, then we've got another 3 weeks left, and give them a bit of time to jump on those last few. So I recognise most of the names on here. I think I recognise everyone there. So what we'll do is we'll skip all the introduction bit, and then we'll go straight into the session for this week. So what I'd really like this week is for interaction on that Facebook group. So like we did in the first few weeks, there was quite a few people posting their thoughts about what was going on. So it'd be really good for you, especially between now and Wednesday, when the clues about the case are limited. It'd be really good to get your ideas about thought processes and what might be going on with this individual. So that'd be really good if you could do that. So plan as usual, case history, going through red flags pathology, and then working out an assessment plan, and then what to do with that person, and we'll cover that on Friday. Usual books and stuff for you guys as a pointer. So there you go. There's a link to the one on the right there, which is the Handbook of Sports Therapy, Injury Assessment and Rehab. And that, coupled along with the differential diagnosis book, are probably 2 really comprehensive books to cover all of this kind of stuff. And I know some of you have bought Explain Pain, which is great. There's an audio book for Explain Pain as well. And there's some really, really good information in that book about explaining to patients in real simple terms what happens when you experience symptoms, and that actually you don't have to be damaged at all to be able to feel pain. Okay, so pain is not to do with tissue injury. It's a bit more complicated than that. Okay, so some really, really good books there. If you haven't got them, then definitely recommend investing in those. Okay, so as you guys have done this before, we're going to sift through the sieve. So we're going to sift through this first appointment. Turn that off a sec. And as always with the Facebook stuff, there's no right answers with this. You just justify whatever you think may be the issue going on. So no recipes. There is a bit of structure from the sieve that I give you. In fact, let me just post that just in case you don't have that. There you go. So that's the sieve that we use. So today we're going to introduce the case. Okay. Yeah, no problem, Natalie. You're welcome. To be honest with you, it's been quite nice to have a bit of structure in the weeks and have something to aim for on each of the days. I on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I also teach exercise classes at 6 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, my days are planned. So it's nice to have a bit of structure again. But yeah, you're very welcome. I'm glad. Hopefully you found them useful. Cool. So we've got a new scenario for you today. We've got a neck pain one. I don't think we've done a neck pain. We might have had some things that are related to the neck or possibly related to the neck, but not something specific for neck pain. Want you to consider the biopsychosocial approach again, and you guys that have done this before, you will know about this. So we've got the biological or biomedical side of the case. We've also got the social side, so the kind of background and where they live and what kind of job they do, and then the psychology as well, maybe previous injuries that they've had, maybe other people that have been injured or ill in their family that's affecting the way that they feel. Okay, so if they've had experiences from the past, that can mold the future and the kind of things that they're feeling now. What I'm going to talk about at 8 o'clock tonight is patient communication. So that might be a useful kind of adjunct to this. So if you're not doing anything at 8 o'clock, then join me for that. So CIV, again, you guys know, you've seen this before. So we've got the psychosocial section at the top. So these are the things that day-to-day life may be causing them issues and maybe making their symptoms worse, or maybe the cause of their symptoms, we don't know. And then we've got the bio section, so biological area, biomedical, we've got biomechanical, muscle and tendon, bone, ligament, the viscera, which are the internal organs, fascia, blood supply, lymphatic system, and nerve supply. So we've split up those key areas so that when you're going through the case history, you can make notes in each of those boxes and try to order your thoughts about what might be going on with this individual. Okay, so here we go. Let me just make that a bit smaller there. Let's just move me out of the way. Right, so Mr. W, he is a 55-year-old man who has worked as a car mechanic, mostly involved MOT testing since he left school. So he's been doing it for quite some years, for nearly 40 years. For the last year, he's worked at home at the weekends doing car paint spraying privately for extra money in his own lockup. Okay, so it's that will give you some clues into the kind of psychosocial aspects of his life already. He's 5'10", he's 14 stone, and when you first see him, you wonder if he has been rushing to make the appointment because he appears quite flushed in the face. Okay, so again, some clues about what is going on with him. He's happily married and has 3 grown-up children and 5 grandchildren. It makes a change for these case studies to be happily married. They're usually recently divorced, so that's a good one. His weight has gradually increased since he gave up smoking. Okay, so 2 years ago he was diagnosed with hypertension, so it's high blood pressure, and was prescribed atenolol, which he has taken ever since. So if you've never heard of that before, that's something to research and have a look what that is. Okay, so atenolol. And if you remember a few weeks ago, I mentioned an app called the BNF. Let me just pop that in here. So you got the BNF app, which is the British National Formulary, and it's a list of every single medication that is prescribed in the NHS. Okay, so I think it's a free app. I'm pretty sure it's free. But if you have a look on Android or iPhone, you should be able to download that and then search up what that drug is. Okay. He has regular checkups with the practice nurse to ensure that his hypertension is managed. And so far, he's had no problems. Okay, so again, some clues as to what's going on in his life at the moment. So in the past, he was a heavy smoker. Eventually suffered breathing problems approximately 4 years ago. After tests with the consultant, he was diagnosed as having moderate emphysema. So again, if you've never heard of emphysema, you're not too sure what it is, kind of effects it has on the body, then have a look at that and see what that is. The result of this diagnosis was a real shock for him, and he gave up smoking immediately and went through a period of feeling quite depressed and guilty about his condition. Okay, he's unable to run or walk fast at all, but for the most part, he manages to cope. And the consultant sees him every 6 months to check on his progress. So he is under the care of the consultant and the nurses. Okay, so let me just move that again. So he is presenting today. So his presenting complaint is unilateral, so one-sided neck pain on the right-hand side from the occipital area, which is the back of the skull. Okay, so it's all around the base of the skull. Down to the cervico-dorsal junction, which is the junction of C7 and T1. Okay, so it's that area there. And it radiates across the posterior shoulder. So it's coming around the back of the shoulder as well. Okay, so down the neck and then across the shoulder. He also feels the pain anteriorly in the neck and the pectoral region on the right side. So kind of around this area here as well. Okay. It feels like tightness, and the neck feels heavy in general. There's no sharp pain, but the pain seems to be exacerbated on end range flexion. So if he flexes really far forward with his neck, and is particularly worse during activity. All right. So again, think about the structures that may be impacted during that movement and what's going on if you're doing activity, what's going on with your body. There are no specific focal dermatomal neurological symptoms. Okay, so have a look at what the dermatomes are if you've never heard of those before. I think we've mentioned it a few times on these sessions, but there are no specific focal dermatomal neurological symptoms associated with the complaint. Okay, but the patient admits to some odd feelings in the arms and hands involving all of the digits. Okay, so it's affecting the whole hand. He cannot be clear about the odd feelings, which is often the way, isn't it? They're not really sure what's going on. It may be a bit of mild pins and needles or tingling. He's not sure because it seems to come and go. So it's not there all the time. But he knows these odd symptoms were present prior to the neck pain. So we've got a little bit of an order of where things have come on. Mr. W has suffered from headaches for 10 years. But this year he seems to have nausea associated with them as well. Okay, so again, another layer of confusion to add in there. He reports a single, much stronger episode of feeling dizziness and vertigo with a particularly bad headache of a throbbing nature in the temporal area 6 days ago, so around this kind of region here. Okay, he vomited several times during the episode. It seems to have come on when Mr. W was fixing a light in the ceiling when his neck was in hyperextension. So he was looking up, fixing a light. Okay, so what could bring on those symptoms? So if you don't mind, if you've got some ideas, keep them to yourself for now in the chat room, but remember to put them onto the Facebook group. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Yeah, so he's up in this position, fixing a light, and he had a spell of dizziness, vertigo, and he vomited several times when that happened. Okay, so that's a real big clue as to what's happening there. Thank you very much, Peter. I'll get you a photo in the post. Okay. Okay, so we've got onset. So 5 weeks ago the neck pain started. 5 months ago the odd tingling started, and 6 days ago the episode of a headache and vomiting, vertigo, all of that happened. Okay, so we've got the chronological order of when each of those things happen. Yeah, if I sign it though, I don't want to see it on eBay for sale afterwards. Yeah, can't do that. Okay, so progression, the worsening neck and unspecific arm symptoms. So that's getting worse, which is obviously not a good sign. Activity in general makes the neck pain worse, and he cannot associate the arm symptoms with anything. So it's not as if he's done something that's caused the problem. Okay. Relieving factors. So resting in general helps the neck symptoms. Right. So that's a good sign in a way. Daily pattern. So with regards to the neck, generally worse as the day progresses, and it easing off at rest in the evening. So when he rests, that's when it's easier. X-ray history. The GP requested an X-ray 5 years ago when he had similar neck pain before, and the report stated that there was moderate degeneration of C5 and C6 with osteophytes. So if you've never heard of osteophytes or what they are, then again, that's something for you to have a look up. So you got atenolol, osteophytes. I think those were the main two things, and emphysema as well. Okay, so if you've never heard of that before. Family history. So his dad had a stroke when he was 60. Okay, and this guy is 55, so he's approaching that age. So is that starting to worry him, or is that a clue as to what might be wrong with him? Cardiovascular history, diagnosed hypertensive and has cardinal signs of fatigue and breathlessness. Okay, so clear signs of hypertension there. Sort of brain and skull, ear, nose, throat, that kind of stuff. So episode of vertigo 6 days ago, lasted 20 minutes, and he felt nauseous. Seems to have made a full recovery though. Okay, but remember the mechanism of that as well, because that's important. Diet generally quite poor, lots of fats, little in the way of vegetables. Again, all of these OSCE seem to have a poor diet and seem to either smoke or have had smoked in the past. And neurological history, has had history of headaches for 10 years. Yeah, so is this just another one of those, or is this something different? Okay. Respiratory history, diagnosed with moderate emphysema, which we talked about, and that was 4 years ago. Okay, so that's a bit of a summary of the findings. There's nothing else of relevance in the history. Okay, so that is your case study. Have a go. Okay, do a bit of research on the things if you've never heard them before, and see what they are, what the symptoms are, what might cause them, and what may relate into this case history and the reason why this person has got these symptoms. Okay, pop your thoughts on Facebook or send me a message, private message on Messenger, and I can respond to you on that. That's not a problem if you don't want to do it in public. It would be great though if you wouldn't mind, because you guys that have been doing this for a while now, some of the information that you're putting through, some of the thoughts that you're having are really good. So you should share them with other people, and yeah, you should feel confident to do that now after doing this for nearly 2 months. I think some of the stuff that you're coming through with has been very good. Okay, so feel free to do that definitely. So that's the end of this one. Have a watch over the video. So I'll start to download it, and I'll pop it onto Facebook probably tomorrow morning, because I've got the session tonight with Dan. And yeah, if you want to watch it back over again, then do that. Have a look through all of the key information again, and see if you can come up with a list for your clinical reasoning checklist. Okay, have a good Monday night, what's left of it, guys, and I will see you on Wednesday at 6.